Hey gang, John Bacarella here with your Lake St. Clair ice fishing report brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. It is Wednesday, February 5th, and we're a couple of days past Groundhog Day, and it seems that we have kind of a disagreement between what Punxsutawney Phil says and what the weather forecasters are saying. And quite honestly, I have no idea who to believe at this point, although I would much rather believe what the weather forecasters are saying. And what they're saying is that we're supposed to have very cold temperatures in February going right into March. And I know that makes you walleye trolling guys not real happy, but it makes all of us ice fishing guys happier. And those of us tackle store owners that still have ice tackle in here feeling pretty good as well. So right now out there, the temperature's dropping. We got a snowstorm coming in here. Hopefully we don't get much snow because I don't want a whole bunch of snow to mess up the ice that we do have out there. So I'm going to get right into it right now, and we'll start talking about the ice report. So this morning right away, first thing I did was start driving the lakeshore. Metro Beach, or I should say the Metro Park here closest to the store. Well, I should say this. If I don't mention ice anywhere, if I don't mention ice at a location, just assume that it's waves, because I'm not going to go into I stopped here and it was waves and I stopped there and it was waves. I'm just going to tell you where there was ice and what the conditions were at those locations. Just bear in mind that this could change a lot between now and this coming weekend. We've got some really cold nights coming. We got the snowfall coming in. That snow has a tendency to super chill and slow down the surface of the lake and gives it a chance to freeze. So there could be a very different report by the time we get to Friday. So this it's a Wednesday, so we got several days before the weekend with cold temps. So guys, check out our Facebook page like on Friday, especially Friday afternoon. I intend to do a big drive again on Friday, but I will not have enough time to do a video to get it all out there. So any of the updates are gonna come pretty much on Facebook, or I may respond to questions on the YouTube channel. But check out our Facebook page on Friday, and I'll have much more current information for you. But I wanted to let you know that we do have ice, and this ice conditions are going to improve between now and the weekend. So the Metro Park, the basin at the Metro Park still had ice, believe it or not. It was even fairly tight up to the shoreline. But I could not get on it this morning. We'd only had about 12 hours of good freezing temperatures to firm it up. There's no water on the ice. The ice looks pretty darn good, but it wasn't thick enough to support me right on the edge, and I wasn't going to take a chance on going swimming. So it looked to be probably around 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, but we should again make a lot more thickness between now and the coming weekend. Now, over on the Marsh area, kind of the same deal. I was the only person there, so I wasn't really going to take any crazy chances. There was a lot of ice still there, although the ice, if you go out on that floating dock, the ice to the right or out towards the lake into Black Creek, the open water had worked its way back almost all the way to that floating dock there. But from the floating dock back, it was all ice still. So open water around brush and things along the edges, and some open water definitely over where those swans have been keeping it open way back there, and also some open water around the islands. But bottom line is that ice held. It's going to be making thickness, and I'd be incredibly shocked if it's not fishable by this weekend. I'll be surprised that there aren't guys on it tomorrow, as a matter of fact, because it was making ice all day today. So with that, we're going to go up a little bit further north. We're going to go over to the boat launch at Selfridge. The same deal with that boat launch at Selfridge this morning. Okay, when I checked it this morning, it was just a little too iffy for me to get on it. Real punky along the edges, but again, it was making ice all day. And honestly, on my way back, on the drive back a couple hours later, there were guys on the ice, and lo and behold, some of the guys were catching some perch, and some decent perch. So, and that's kind of been what's going on all week. Even with the lousy ice conditions that we've had with the warm up, there have been guys still on the ice, and they have been catching perch. So, the fish are going to be there. It's just going to be a matter of, how good the ice conditions are for us by this coming weekend. Now, so that was the deal at Selfridge. Checked it in the morning, really couldn't get on it. Came back in the afternoon, and there were guys on it. no ice out in front of the canal, and actually the water had eaten its way back into the canal, into the entrance to the lake out there. So, but I would expect that's going to freeze up really fast. But I want you guys to be aware of that, because if we get some snow cover on the ice and that refreezes tonight, you just got to know that any of that ice over there by the canal mouth is going to be brand spanking new ice. Could be fine by the weekend, but just know that that's not going to be the same ice that you're on right there in front of the launch itself. Now, the canal behind the bait shop, behind our store there by Selfridge, that ice this morning, I jumped on it right off a dock with no trouble at all. It's all white ice back there, but it firmed up really nice, and there were guys on it already this morning. I mean, pretty much right after we opened, the guys were on it. So I don't know how good they were doing back there this morning. I didn't follow back up, but that ice was fine this morning when I was on it. So from there, we're going to go all the way up to the north end of the lake, because I think that's where most of you guys are wanting to hear about. And that ice at the Raft actually held. But let's talk about the boat launch first, right by Brian's Blue Water Bait. So I know last week you guys were able to get onto that white ice right off of the boat launch there. I couldn't do that today. Doesn't mean that you won't be able to do that by the weekend. But right out in front of the boat launch, which was about 1.5 inches or 2 inches of black ice last week, is open water, and I really expected it to be that way because there wasn't that much ice to begin with. So that ice is gone. Now, I'm going to talk about the Raft next here, and then I'm going to come back to what I think is going to happen here in the next couple of days. So it looked like you might be able to, if nothing changes, you might be able to get on the ice in tight along the shoreline there and work your way down on the white ice. There was still some remnant white ice along that shoreline, but for the most part, that ice by the boat launch was gone, guys. So unless we get some new ice in there, you're going to have to get on probably at the Raft itself for this weekend. But again, check with us on Friday. I'll have an update for you that a lot may change. So going up to the Raft itself, in the parking lot there, I was able to just walk right on the ice, right off of that ramp there. Nothing has really changed, except it's a little easier walking now than what it was. If you remember, we had those giant snowballs of ice that had blown in there and frozen up, so it was kind of like walking on, frozen softballs. That's really smoothed out a lot from the warm-up that we had and from the rain. So it's still not really smooth ice. It's still kind of irregular shape, but it's not like, those ankle busters like what we had before. You're still going to want to wear creepers, but the ice conditions out there were a lot like the ice right behind the store at Selfridge. Everything was really firm. I went out there, I cut a hole. The ice thickness was, I don't know, probably 3 inches in the spot where I cut, maybe 4. And, it may be thicker in other areas. Guys were able to work their way around and get into the marinas. There were guys out there fishing. Matter of fact, when I was going out, which was, I don't know, probably 9:30, 10 o'clock or so, there was one of our customers was coming in, and he actually had a really nice mess of fish. He was just a couple of fish short of his limit, and he was just having to go into work. So I'm guessing he worked afternoons or a swing shift or something, but so he couldn't stay out there to finish up his limit. He was telling me that the bite has been really early in the morning and then hard to find after that. But the water clarity is pretty good. He had a couple of foot visibility. I think that's going to just keep getting better and better. We got cleaner water coming down out of the river up there. So definitely fishable ice out in front of the Raft, even as of right now. Fishable ice behind the shop there at over by Selfridge, and somewhat fishable ice. At least the guys were getting on it at the boat ramp. So now, with that said, there's a lot of other canals along the way in there. Some of them had open water by culverts and that kind of thing, or if they were wide open to the lake, some of them had opened right up. Places like the Salt River had opened right up, but there were a lot of canals that still were tight, and I'm going to guess were very similar conditions to what we had behind the Selfridge store. Now, the weather that we got coming in, I'm going to do a little prognostication here. So we got snow coming tonight, we got a little bit of snow tomorrow, and then we got some really cold temperatures. And we're also supposed to get somewhat of a south to southwest breeze blowing, even though we're going to have crazy cold temperatures at night. So what I expect to happen, I expect those south to southwest winds. We're going to get some ice formation out there on the lake. If we don't actually get black ice formed, what very well could happen is we could get some more ice to blow up into places like Metro Beach, maybe even Crocker if we get lucky, although I'm hoping that's just going to freeze and we're going to get black ice to form in there and we're going to be able to just get on that. But places in that whole Anchor Bay area, if we do get that south to southwest breeze flowing during the cold, really cold temps that we have coming, or just after the real cold temps and the snow, we could get kind of a, you know, a second coming here of the ice, like what blew in to form that ice up there on the north end to begin with. So I'm really hopeful that that's what's going to happen. The extended forecast looks pretty good. Like I said, the AccuWeather extended forecast, if we want to believe it, is calling for a cold February into March. So if we can get some lake ice to form out there, you know, we should be able to hold it for quite a while. So even with these ups and downs, but it looks like we're going to settle into a much colder pattern now for the remainder of the month. Now, out on Simcoe, a lot of guys are doing really good out there. I know a lot of you guys have been going over there, so the perch fishing's been pretty good. Their ice conditions are going to be improving as well. I know they've still had some really skinny ice out there too, because they get a lot of the same weather we do. But again, they've been quite a bit colder, especially the last week and a half or so, than what we have. So their ice is really starting to build up there. The same thing, I know some of you folks probably saw the picture Logan posted. One of our employees, he went up to Houghton Lake, and they just really pounded the big sunnies and crappies up there. They were up there for like 2.5 days, but they got some really quality fish. So, you know, if you're nervous going on the skinny ice that we're going to have down here, head up north or head over to Simcoe. The fishing's been really good. They've been catching some really nice quality fish. And I mean, don't get sucked into the winter blahs, you know. So get out there and enjoy yourself. Hey, if you like this video content and you want to get updated as soon as the next video is out there, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon, and you'll get notified as soon as the next video is up.